Hey guys, welcome back to more homeowner association stories. In this video, an HOA Karen shot my emotional support animal, claiming that cats are illegal inside the HOA neighborhood and that I am a fake veteran. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. And today's XXL length story starts like this. So I've been having a rather unfortunate experience with a Karen and decided that venting my feelings and telling the story of what happened is better than maybe confronting her right now and doing something I might regret later. I'm a 33-year-old man living in a fairly typical suburban neighborhood. Some might say that I live alone, but I don't consider it alone because I have a cat with me. A 3-year-old female tortoise shell who I think is just beautiful. She has this one almost perfect circle of color on her head that is almost a bullseye for petting. She's not just my pet though, she's more than that. I'm a combat veteran and I saw some pretty bad things when I was overseas. I saw guys that became a second family to die right in front of me. Along with other things that I don't even want to think about, I was really bad when I got back and could not live on my own or leave the house or anything really. If I did not have family to take me in, I probably would have ended up homeless in the streets due to not being able to cope with all of it. The doctors said that I had PTSD and it took a long time to work things out a little bit and get to the semi-good place where I am today. And my cat Daisy had a lot to do with that. She is my emotional support animal and helps me cope with a lot of problems and symptoms the PTSD causes. When I panic, she is there to let me know that I'm okay and everything is fine. I even go outside with her as she is well trained, sometimes out on a harness and others in a clear backpack that has holes and is made for cats. It was only a year ago that I was able to move into this neighborhood and be on my own for the first time. I work from home because it is too hard to be around large areas of people, even when I do have Daisy with me. A woman moved into the house next to mine about 3 months after I did. Unlike myself, she clearly wastes no time at all trying to make a name for herself, but she does not do that in the right way and instead just seems to be like that teacher's pet kid that nobody likes. The one always telling on others for minor things. I guess the adult version of that is just being a Karen. She started passing out flyers about no pets being allowed in the neighborhood, despite that not being a rule at all. I knew that the flyers were about me because she came and spoke to me about my cat. I let Daisy out of the house in my fenced backyard. I'm sure if she was inclined to jump over it and escape, she could, but she actually stays in the yard. She does not like to go far away from me and really just wants to soak in the sun and watch the birds. She's a very lazy and calm cat, which is part of what makes her perfect for me. Karen came and spoke to me about it, telling me that I could not let her outside and then shifting to tell me that I should not have her at all. Going on again how pets are not allowed and pretending to be the HOA president when I knew for a fact she wasn't, since I had met the president when I first moved in. I explained to her that she was for PTSD emotional support, so even if pets were not allowed, that rule would not matter for me. She then started yelling that I was a liar and that PTSD was fake anyway, and I just wanted welfare and to break the rules. She also demanded paperwork for proof that Daisy was actually an emotional support animal. I could not handle her and retreated back to my house knowing that I did not owe her anything. I hoped she would just stop, but she didn't and she decided to call animal control, claiming my cat was aggressive and had rabies. They visited me and I was more than happy to show them that she was actually friendly and fully taken care of and also vaccinated. They were nice and made it clear that they were not gonna take Daisy away, which avoided me having a panic attack. Karen just seemed to want to be a cockroach that refused to go away because after failing at going after my cat, she was not trying to go after me. She was claiming that I was pretending to be a veteran to get discounts and be able to do whatever I wanted. She was claiming I had stolen medals off of real veterans and was going to get me arrested for stolen valor. I think she was just trying to get support, but it's been really messing with my head. I had to install video cameras a couple of months ago after I caught her throwing cat treats over my fence. Luckily, Daisy did not eat them, mainly because she's a drama queen and only likes one kind of treats. I did notice that the ones thrown had some kind of rat poison coating them. She had threatened that she was going to make sure I left one way or another, and I did not know what she meant at the time. She bought and installed motion lights pointed right at my windows to try and make it hard for me to sleep, as well as calling the police all hours of the night with false claims that I was making too much noise. All of which were horrible for my PTSD and pushing me towards a total break. I contacted a veteran support group to try and get some legal aid because of everything going on, and I learned that with the information I had, I was able to get a restraining order against Karen due to the harassment. I was also told to contact the HOA because Karen kept claiming to be a part of it. Unlike a lot of other stories on here, my HOA is not too bad. They don't really do much, but did tell me that Karen wanted to be on the board but could not because they had a rule about having to live here for 5 years before even being eligible. They also told me that they were aware of the anti-pet flyers she was handing out and already spoke to her about it. I drafted a letter to Karen making her aware of the restraining order, the animal policies, and warning her that further harassment would involve the police. While some people seemed to believe her that I was not a veteran, others were on my side, including the local VA. It was enough that Karen backed down, but I'm worried that it might not be the end of her. I noticed her watching my house at odd hours, not close enough to violate the restraining order though, along with that I see cars driving by my house very slowly recently. So yeah, I don't think I should let Daisy outside anymore, since Karen always seems to be lurking and whispering to people. Maybe it's just me being paranoid, but I just worry what to do if she goes against a restraining order, since it is just a piece of paper after all. I don't want to snap and end up hurting her in an argument or pushing things too far and turning into the bad person here. And yeah guys, I forgot to mention this story was posted on r/advice, which actually has a lot of interesting posts with many updates such as this one. Also, I'm curious, if you would be in OP's situation, what would you recommend him to do at this point? And while you're typing, we will read some comments from Reddit. Comment number 1 said, "I don't think you're being paranoid. If she really is a Karen, she could be up to something. I would keep the cameras up and document things she's doing. Try and see if you can get a license plate on this weird car." OP then answered, "Thanks, I'm keeping notes on everything. Did not even think about writing down the license plate numbers on the weird car." Comment number 2, remember that you can always call the police if she goes against a restraining order. Being in violation of one will get her arrested immediately. Plus, I don't know if ESAs and service animals work the same, but I know messing with a service animal is actually a crime. OP, I will look into the laws. If the laws for ESAs are the same where I am, I know that I cannot bring them everywhere that service animals can go, but not much else. Maybe I can get her in trouble even attempting to poison Daisy. And now we have an update to the story that goes like this. So first of all, I want to thank everybody that read and commented on my post. I was not expecting the amount of support I got and the amount of good suggestions. Unfortunately, myself and others were right about Karen not being done trying to ruin my life. So much so that I have so much more to tell, a new post makes more sense than just an edit to my first one. My anxiety symptoms have been getting worse because of Karen, and Daisy is helping me a lot when it comes to my ability to deal with those things. I'm bringing her with me more often, and she seems to know that I need her and is really staying next to me most of the day. I also have been getting more involved with my local veterans group, who are nice and offering me support and a place to vent about Karen. Also, they are helping me the best they can fight the claims she is making against me that I'm a fake veteran. It's a day-by-day thing, but I was doing okay with the restraining order, stopping her from coming near me until she decided to launch another kind of attack. The restraining order didn't stop her from spreading slander about Daisy and me. She was holding meetings, which basically were her hijacking HOA meetings to complain about dangerous animals in the neighborhood and things needing to be done, claiming that kids were being attacked, and even she was attacked by a savage cat that lived next door. I found a social media account tied to our neighborhood that she had created. Almost all of its posts were talking about how dangerous cats were and showing generic stock footage, images of injuries that she claimed were all local attacks by cats. I will admit that some of these photos did look to be attacks by cats, even if the cat in question was a lion. She wanted to spread fear to get people on her side. I had a visit from police one day who were sent by the city to investigate reports against me. These were all anonymous, so I could not pin them to Karen directly, but I knew it was her. The calls all claimed that I was running an illegal breeding operation for cats, breeding them and then selling them for huge profit and killing the ones that did not get sold. It was clear enough that it was just one cat though, a cat that I even had medical proof who was spayed, meaning she could not breed. The police were at least nice and understanding of the whole thing, telling me that they would keep it marked down that further calls about it would be ignored. The entire thing really is messing with me and my ability to heal mentally from everything, a problem that got worse when Karen decided to stop going after Daisy and continue her arguments against me. Not me living there or anything like that, but just against me as a person. I got my hands on a flyer that she had been handing out. And just a side note, with all the flyers this woman hands out, I have to wonder if she has stock in a printing company or something, because these cannot be cheap to do. They are in color and everything, and she seems to print hundreds of them to plaster all over the place. Sorry about the side thought. Anyway, these current flyers were talking about PTSD and talking about how it is a fake condition that people use in order to get out of being a contributing member of society, claiming that there was no scientific evidence showing it was real, and further saying that some local people were claiming to have it and be veterans when in fact they were just lazy. An attack on me clearly, but not using my name, so she could not get in trouble for it. The worst part is that people started to believe her and take her side against me. Calls for me to be punished for pretending to be a veteran were being sent into the city now as well. I also had to stop letting Daisy outside because I kept finding tags in the yard and was scared that she would get hurt, which just further led to people claiming I was abusing my cat. It turned out that I was not just being paranoid before about cars going down my street and people watching me. Karen had been able to start a neighborhood watch, which was just the people that agreed with her. All they did was film my house in order to catch me doing something wrong. I was seriously being treated like a criminal, and to just remind you all, apparently all I did to deserve this was simply own a cat. I was glad the police knew the calls against me were fake though, and no action was being taken. They came a couple more times because they got calls about a disturbance and legally had to come. All they did was really chat with me and assure me that I was not in trouble. Also letting me know that if I pursued legal action that the 911 calls could be accessed with a court order to see if it was the same person calling over and over again. The worst thing she did during this time was calling my employer though. I don't even know how she got that information, but she did and called him to claim that I was unstable. This also meant that Karen knew I was working and not getting benefits and welfare like she was claiming to everybody else I did. I was nearly in tears thinking I was gonna get fired, but after I explained everything to my boss, he understood and told me that as long as I got my work in, he had no reason to question my employment. She went to the news at one point claiming all of this, so now reporters were coming to me and asking me if I was faking being a veteran and bringing up all the claims again. At this point, I was done with Karen and just wanted to do anything in order to fight back against her. So this is where the veteran group really helped me. They were able to get a service expert to verify and announce that I was in fact a veteran and did serve. So I had announced proof to hopefully stop the people from claiming I was faking being a veteran. Due to her getting news involved, I was able to make that statement spread, along with proof that PTSD was in fact scientifically proven to exist. This was enough to finally get people to stop blindly believing Karen and kind of move onto my side. They now thought Karen was going too far and should just leave me alone now. I also used the VA legal aid to file official harassment charges against Karen. I had neighbors willing to testify that Karen was trying to get people to falsely call the cops and make complaints against me. Also, I was able to get a court order for the 911 calls, and all of it just tracked right back to Karen. Police were able to send her an official warning about misuse of 911 and that further misuse could result in her arrest. I did get apologies from some people and noticed that now when I go outside with Daisy, she gets a ton more attention and people realize she's not abused or evil or anything Karen was claiming. Things are finally calmed down around here and Karen is seen as the horrible person she is. I still have harassment charges being pursued against her, but I don't know if it will be worth making another post about what happens with that. Maybe if enough people want it, I can give an update. One person in the comments said, "Please let us know what happens with Karen. I want to see how badly she gets herself in trouble with the charges." Also, maybe you can get attempted animal abuse charges against her for the attempted poisoning and the tags. OP, I did not even think about that. I will talk to my lawyer about adding the further charges. As long as she leaves me alone, I don't care about much else though. Commenter number 2, glad to hear that things are getting better. As a fellow veteran, I know how badly these things can make the PTSD worse. OP then said, "Yeah, I was getting pretty bad and back to barely leaving the house at one point because I was scared of running into somebody that agreed with Karen." Another commenter said, "I hope that Daisy can go outside again now." OP, we are being careful, but yes, she goes outside again. I just tend to check the yard first before putting her down. And now we got another update to the story that you don't want to miss. Trust me. But before we start, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on to not miss any of my daily uploads. Seriously, nowadays, if you're just subscribed to the channel, there's no guarantee that YouTube will show you my videos daily. Mostly it is the opposite, so please click that bell. Either way, update number 2 goes like this. Well, it happened. Karen crossed the line. Again, I really thought I was done making posts complaining about her and the entire situation. I mean, seriously, last time the police warned her I had a case going against her and she had lost support from people around her. What else could she have done aside from giving up? Well, it turns out the most horrible thing I could imagine. Now, I was not totally ignoring that Karen existed and kept some security in place. I still had my cameras to make sure she couldn't just sneak onto my property or anything, and I was still making sure the lawn was clear or anything dangerous before Daisy went outside. I usually stayed with her too, so the fact that the incident happened the one time I just happened to go to the bathroom makes me think that Karen had planned for this and waited for it. It was now being closer to summer, and warm going outside with Daisy was more common, and she loves nothing more than taking a nap in the sun like the lazy cat she is. I had to go to the bathroom, which takes less than 2 minutes, so I just ran inside, leaving Daisy in the yard, thinking it would be fine. About a minute later, I heard the sounds that I knew to be a BB gun and ran back into the backyard, barely even having time to pull up my pants. I used to shoot BB guns with my brothers when we were younger, so I recognized the sound. Luckily, it does not sound like actual gunfire or something, or it could have caused me to have a serious reaction mentally. Even fireworks nowadays put me on edge, so I think the BB gun sound made me think of Daisy's safety, otherwise I maybe would have gone into a panic attack. I got outside and found Daisy on the ground in pain. I could already see a couple of spots on her swelling and bleeding. The shots were clearly done at a close range. I later saw one and found that they were the steel ones, which can do more damage than the lead ones. I rushed Daisy to the emergency vet and also called the cops about the whole thing. She was my top priority and I was not holding myself together at all. Basically, she needed surgery. I don't want to go into too much detail and upset anybody reading, but just know that it was bad and I didn't know if she was going to live. She had to stay overnight and I reluctantly went home and was alone. I was not going to be able to sleep, but I had more important things to deal with than sleeping. I had to talk to the police and file a report that my cat was shot. I knew that Karen had done this, but of course when the police went to go and ask her about it, she claimed that she had no idea what I was even talking about. I was told that if I wanted Karen arrested for this, I would need some kind of proof. I'm embarrassed that I didn't think about my cameras before talking to the police and before they left went to get them. In it you could see Karen peeking over the fence and aiming a BB gun right at Daisy. There was not any more solid proof I could have given them to show it. That plus her lying before was enough for the police to arrest her and search her house. It turned out that she had a modified BB gun to be even higher powered than it should have been or legally was allowed to be, along with the steel ammunition that matched what the vet pulled out of Daisy. She did not want to get arrested without putting up a fight, and she had this whole scene outside that I got to hear everything, and so did everybody else. She had excuses flying out of her mouth so quickly that the police didn't even have time to tell her she was wrong about any of them. The first thing being that she was protecting the birds because my cat was trying to murder them, something they knew was not true based on the video I showed them. A video that I doubt she knew exists at this point, and then she started screaming that this was a no-cats neighborhood and I should be the one arrested for harboring a so-called illegal pet, now demanding that I had charges pressed against me for that. Also demanding I be arrested and charged for pretending to be a veteran, because of course she was still on that crap despite proof being shown to everybody that I was a real vet. I really don't know what she has against veterans or PTSD and thinking it is all fake. Trust me when I say the benefits I do get from being a veteran are not worth everything I've been through during service. Do I accept and use military/veteran discounts? Of course, I would be stupid not to, but that would be stupider is thinking somebody would join up and go through it all just so they could get 10% off on some shoes. It is just infuriating. The last argument she had while resisting arrest was that it was only a BB gun and not a real one. That she could not get arrested for using a firearm because, well, it was not real, and she even had the nerve to say that the cat should have just dodged them. Really, she was blaming Daisy, who was asleep, for getting shot. I was glad when the police told her that none of that crap mattered because at the end of the day, it was still animal abuse. She kicked and resisted all the way into the car, and I know it sounds messed up, but I was kind of hoping that they would have to tase her or something. Going back to Daisy, they were luckily able to remove the steel BBs without a ton of damage done to her. She will be limping for a while, possibly forever, but it doesn't seem to bother or be a hindrance to her. Karen was released on bail with a reminder of the fact that she actually has a restraining order against her from me. They were also doing a full investigation into her to see if she had any past issues that may not have been charges from where she lived before. At this point, I'm just a mess with the whole thing, making my PTSD horrible. I'm not really sleeping and worried constantly that Karen is gonna do something. Daisy tries to help the best she can, but what I really need is for everything with Karen to just end. I just want her to go away and leave me alone. I found out that the veterans group started an online fundraiser for me so I could afford the medical bills for Daisy. That got the attention of both people in the community and the larger VA organizations that heard the story and wanted to help. I'm glad that I was able to get help financially because it was thousands of dollars for the surgery. Local media reached out to me as well for my side of the story. Hearing a veteran was getting arrested and an emotional support animal was shot is a story that writes itself. They also mentioned a fund for the vet bills. I know at this point that I will have another post because people want to know what happens in court with Karen between the harassment charges I already had against her and now the animal abuse charges. I'm just hoping that something sticks. Honestly, if she had just left me alone, I might have even dropped their harassment charges, but I'm done being nice here. If Karen wants to fight with me, then I'm going to give her a fight and make her regret doing all of this in the first place. And comment number 1 said, you should sue Karen in civil court as well for the vet bills if she is found guilty in criminal court. She should be responsible. OP said, I was planning on doing that and just didn't mention it. I want to get Karen to pay so I can return the money to the nice people who donated. Commenter number 2, cats can be very resilient. I hope that Daisy heals up nicely and can go back to basking in the sun soon. OP, thanks. I think I might keep her indoors for now 100% of the time as long as Karen is around. I do not want to give her the chance to do anything else to her. And yeah guys, at this point in the story, what would you have done if you were in OP's shoes? Honestly, it is really remarkable how calm OP stayed in all of this. If someone messed with your pets, what would you have done instead? Let me know in the comments, and now let's continue with update number 3. So this is what I think will be the last post regarding my very long and exhausting adventures with Karen. If you have not seen the first 3 posts, I recommend reading through those and then coming back, otherwise you might be confused. So between the last post and now, both Daisy and I have been doing a lot better. She still has a slight limp, but it's barely noticeable, and she is in extremely good spirits. She is still providing me with a lot of emotional support, but now I've been getting also some support from local veteran groups. Talking about things has really helped me through it all, and reading your comments of support helped me as well. So I think I also started looking at the entire Karen situation in a different way once I wanted to fight back. It was making me not so anxious and instead kind of determined. Bad things were still going to happen, but they stopped affecting me to such a degree as before. Karen has been next door on bail, but leaving me alone, although she had friends. Her friends were starting a big campaign about how a big tough veteran cannot handle a toy gun and called the police over it. They wanted to get people to see the situation as me overreacting and Karen not doing anything wrong that deserved that she be arrested over. Well, about a month after my last post, Daisy got an infection and required an additional treatment. She is alright now, like I said before, but the entire thing really motivated me to get back at Karen again. A main part of the harassment trial is my word and some video against hers. Karen's lawyer was trying to make it so that the fact I was a veteran and Daisy was a support animal would not be allowed facts brought up in trial, claiming that they were just going to be used to manipulate the judge to be in my favor. My lawyer was arguing that both of those facts were related to the harassment and should be allowed. And yes, my lawyer won. 2 weeks before we were going to trial for the harassment, Karen broke bail conditions and contacted me directly. I recorded the audio of the call and it was just generic her telling me to back off and that I should have been the one getting arrested. Still, it violated the bail conditions, so she had to wait in jail for those last 2 weeks. Court situations can be a little bit confusing to explain, especially since she had different charges against her and they ended up taking place on different days in court. So I'm going to just simplify it all as if it was one big court day. So otherwise it might get too confusing and I know you all want to hear the good stuff. So for the harassment, my lawyer presented the flyers that were against me and Daisy, the social media posts she made and other things that had been going on since she started all of this. Also, this is finally when I get to bring up the 911 calls and the police even claiming she was misusing services by constantly calling them to my house for false claims. ending the argument with showing that I had a restraining order and she still did not leave me alone or stop harassing me. She was claiming to the court that she did not harass me, and I was taking it out of context due to apparently being crazy. Because now suddenly she believed in PTSD and that it might help her side of things. Her final argument being that emotional support animals are not a real thing, and I just wanted to use the fact that I was a veteran as an excuse to do whatever I wanted. My lawyer brought in experts that worked in the VA and explained PTSD and the need for and importance of emotional support pets. I don't even think we needed all of that because it was obvious that what Karen was doing was simply harassment. She was found guilty of it, but that was only the tip of the iceberg. Now for the animal abuse part of things were a little bit simpler in court. It was just a question of if she really shot my cat and if doing so resulted in injury. I don't even know why she pleaded not guilty when she knew that there was evidence against her. Just a reminder that for my side of the evidence, I had police finding the BB gun in her house. It was altered to be more powerful than what was legally allowed for a BB gun, a fact that got her a fine on top of everything else too. I also had a vet report showing the extent of Daisy's injuries. If those were not enough, I also had a video showing her doing it, but I will get back to that in a minute. Karen was claiming that she did shoot my cat, but it was only in defense. She claimed that Daisy was trying to go after some birds and then tried to hop the fence and attack her. Going further to say that it was not a real gun, so she should not be prosecuted as if she had shot a real one. Having a petition signed by her friends claiming that I was making a big deal because somebody with PTSD does not know the difference between a real and a so-called fake gun. Now, she obviously knew about the video, we had to put it into evidence, and her lawyer was given a copy. This is not a movie where there's just magic surprise evidence, at least not in this country. However, her response to the video was that I had faked it and the entire thing was AI. The judge had to explain to her that even if the video was AI and got dismissed, she had just admitted on the stand that she had shot the cat. Even if her side of the story was true, where the cat was attacking birds and climbing the fence, it still did not give her the right to shoot. She had clearly gone outside with the gun, having the intent to shoot her. It was not just a normal case of animal abuse either, since Daisy was protected being an ESA. It might have not been as serious as shooting a service animal, but it was still seen as serious. Now, I mentioned in the last post that the city did a full investigation on Karen, and what I learned during the trial that this was not her first incident, just her first time in court. In her old neighborhood, she had several reports against her for allegedly trying to give cats poison treats. Sounds familiar, right? Well, anyway, I couldn't really use that against her since I did not save the poison treat, and that was just hearsay. It being combined with what they found though made it significant. She was going to prison for this, and I think she was shocked to not be let off with a slap on the wrist. I also got comments telling me to take Karen to civil court in order to get the money back that I spent on the vet. Well, I did not need to do that because she was already being forced to give me restitution for the animal abuse, which was the vet bills. As for the money I collected, I did attempt afterwards to give it back, but most people who donated insisted that I keep it. I'm not going to spend it on anything crazy and just use it for Daisy and future vet bills, since that is what it was for to begin with. I may donate some to local animal shelters or buy them food or things they could use. Finally, I'm glad that between the harassment and animal abuse charges, Karen will be in prison for a long time. Her house still seems to be in her name, so if that does not change and she comes back, I might consider moving. But I've been feeling really good lately, so who knows, maybe I won't, and she will just have to learn not to mess with me years down the line. I feel like Daisy and I have kind of a give and take now with emotional support. She seems to not be great from her trauma either. So maybe now it is my turn to be the emotional support human for her. We are enjoying our peaceful life together, and I just hope that we keep moving forward and getting better instead of letting the past mess with our heads too badly. And before we end the video, we will read one satisfying story from r/petty revenge. It is titled, "I am wrong because you have a higher position? Get smacked. I tried to help us." So around 15 years ago, I worked as a contract nursing assistant for a hospital. One of my jobs as agency CNA was that I had to manage a room called the restraint-free room. Mostly because I was a big tall dude, but also because I was agency and the other CNAs hated it and the full-timers had their clique and agency ain't in it. Reason it was called the restraint-free room is because the facility had strict rules on restraints and only used them as the absolute last resort. They preferred to put them all in a small room with someone watching them and redirecting them, but sometimes you would just get someone in there that pissed off the nurses. Well, one night I got one of these guys. He did not want to wear his CPAP machine, helps him with sleep apnea and probably needs it, but he hates it because it is bulky as hell, the straps suck, and he could not toss and turn in it without waking up. That plus being stuck in a hospital for 2 weeks and being stove up drove him nuts. Well, in my training as a CNA, I was always told a patient can deny treatment and go AMA except in certain cases like they are a danger to themselves or others, or they cannot make decisions because of some legal or medical condition. Being of somewhat right mind after talking with him, he had the right to not wear the thing or have his concerns about it addressed. I did try to convince him to wear it though, it is my job after all, and when he got agitated, I said he had a right to do it, and I mentioned that I would have to chart this. He agreed and we were cool, and this should have been the end of it. Well, I chart patient is refusing to wear CPAP, the nurse got informed. Most places I had worked it was no problem, someone with a higher pay grade can handle it, or ignore it, no need for a big deal. Well then though, a nurse practitioner, the charge nurse, and the floor nurse I was under enter into the room at like 4 AM and flick the lights on. Nurse practitioner is pissed. For those unaware of the culture of medicine, I think of it like hierarchies of tribes, each within its own hierarchy and shared language. In nursing, a nurse practitioner is only rivaled by an anesthesia nurse, even outranking nurse managers. Almost on par with lesser doctors, but not in the doctor tribe, and have enormous autonomy and perks. Then at the absolute bottom are nursing assistants, while essential we are expendable and do the dirtiest work and spend the most time with patients. She then starts berating the floor nurse and then looking in my direction. These people, meaning nurse assistants, aka me, are supposed to make sure the patient is wearing the CPAP. It is their job, and your job to make sure they do this. Are you just sitting here being lazy? All of this in front of the patient, of course, along with another poor patient that just kept falling out of bed, waking him up. Ma'am, you're a nurse practitioner with years of experience and education. If you could show me your technique to do this, I would be much in your debt. After all, CNA school is only a month long. Mind? She then grabs the CPAP, goes over. Here, Mr. Whatever, you need this, and tries to put it on. Smack. I think that slap could be heard all the way to the nurse's station. The nurse practitioner's glasses went flying. And in a flurry of activity, code called and a squad of other CNAs and a nurse with a large dose of emergency tranquilizer marched in. They stabbed him in the butt and he is in 5-point restraints and out of my room because, well, no restraints in the restraint-free room. I turned to the nurse practitioner after the chaos. So if one of your RNs wrote non-compliant, you would not say they are lazy, you would respect their assessment. Why should this be different for a CNA? When I chart this, I don't do this because I want to lay out. I do it to inform the proper people while making sure my patient is safe and I'm safe. She looked up, still probably seeing stars, nodded and apologized. I never had crap from her for the rest of my tenure there and even let me help fix a laptop she had with a simple repair. Not all revenge has to be malicious, sometimes it can be educational. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching, please check out my binge watch playlist on the left for infinite content and I will see you again tomorrow.